In today's show, we're looking ahead to Wednesday's action in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. We're here to talk about Wednesday's action in the NBA. Let's get into it straight away. First game, Wizards and the Hawks. Bradley Beal is out. So that means that Rui Hachimura gets increased usage. So he is someone we want to watch if we're looking for points or in a points league. Hachimura becomes a guy that we want to make sure is on a roster, and his value does increase in this scenario. Obviously, Russell Westbrook does as well. Westbrook has played 40 minutes in 39 minutes at least in 6 consecutive games. So that's obviously helping him in terms of production, in terms of playing time, but big numbers coming that way. And Ish Smith is someone else we need to look at. Played 23 minutes last game, scored well, can be a guy that brings assists also. So there is some value in looking at Ish Smith. For the Atlanta Hawks, DeAndre Hunter returned in their last game, but he is he's dealing with that knee issue still, and this is the first of a back-to-back. He will sit out this game on the Wednesday. So Kevin Huerter gets a little bit more extra value in this one. And Trae Young is someone we always want to watch because he's been unbelievable since returning from his ankle injury, but really playing at a super high level, higher than I expected, and he came back sooner than I expected as well. Let's go to the next one. It is the Spurs and the Nets. We're watching Lonnie Walker in this one, who's been putting up some pretty solid scoring numbers as the replacement for Derek White. He doesn't do too much more there, but let's just pay a little bit of attention to Lonnie. And then Jakob Poeltl dished out 8 assists last game. I don't know if that's anything that's real in his game, but obviously it'll be something we want to monitor. But the minutes have been encouraging for Poeltl as well. While for the Nets, it is a back-to-back for those guys. Obviously, we want to check whether Kyrie is going to play after he had to leave the game on Tuesday with that facial issue early. We don't know what happens with guys like Blake Griffin and Kevin Durant, whether they do play in the back-to-back or not. And then that increases the value of Jeff Green, of guys like Bruce Brown, Landry Shamet, Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot. There is also a small chance that James Harden does play in this game, although Nash was pretty non-committal about that. He said we'd like to get Harden in one of the next 3 games. Now, whether it's this one or whether it's one across the back-to-back, I would assume it's one of the back-to-back, but who knows? We will see. But there could be a bunch of guys either in or a bunch of guys out for the Nets, and we want to pay attention to the value of guys like Griffin and Green if they do happen to play. The Celtics and the Cavs. Kemba Walker did cop a little bit of a hit early on Tuesday, but he looks like he's fine. Without Jaylen Brown, we know that Evan Fournier and Aaron Nesmith are likely going to get bumps in their production. So let's see what Fournier can do in the second game here in what it is an easy matchup against Cleveland. And same with Nesmith. If the game is a blowout, does he get an extended run? Well, for the Cavs, Darius Garland is out again. So Isaac Okoro, he's been scoring at a decent level. I wouldn't say that he's been putting up great numbers or great fantasy value right across the board, but he has been putting up some pretty strong performances. So we do want to have a look at what he's able to do and see whether we can start to bring consistent fantasy value. He's not there yet, but let's hope he can get there. And then we also want to watch Funda Kabengele, really good permanent player. Back up with Kevin Love is going to be back for this game, but with Larry Nance out, with Isaiah Hartenstein out again with his head/concussion issue. Kabengele is probably going to be in the rotation and someone for deeper leagues that we need to take a look at. The Pelicans and the Mavericks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's going to get a lot of shots. We saw that in the last game. The Pelicans aren't quite ruled out of the play-in discussion, but they're not too far away from it. So, do they prioritize Alexander-Walker here and give him a few extra minutes? It'd be great if they did. I don't know if there's any guarantee that that's going to be something that happens, though. So we do want to watch that to see how it looks and see how he looks. I just love them for him to play more than Eric Bledsoe. That would be a dream come true. But we'll see how that goes. Brandon Ingram is doubtful. So James Johnson will probably get another start. Him and Najee Marshall will get that increase in value there. So we want to watch what Johnson's able to do because he is a guy that can contribute right across the board. For the Mavericks, Dwight Powell was ejected on Tuesday. I don't think there'll be a suspension, but we want to watch that. He's been playing at a super high level. I don't expect Kristaps Porzingis to play on Wednesday, so Powell's value should be all right. And so should Timmy Hardaway, who's been an unbelievable player over the last week or two. Really good scoring, three-point shooting, and producing value that he hasn't done all season. So let's see if that can continue against New Orleans. The next game we look at is the Blazers and the Jazz. We're looking at Jusuf Nurkic, who is starting to play at a really high level. Now, the matchup is often tough against Rudy Gobert, but if this game stays close, then Nurkic's minutes should push to 30 or above, and he's going to give us value. Well, Norman Powell was really good last game. It was an easier type matchup, but he was really good. Been a little bit up and down in Portland, but let's just pay attention to what he's able to do. While for the Jazz, Jordan Clarkson was amazing. Donovan Mitchell's out for the rest of the regular season. We know that. Mike Conley's out at least on Wednesday, and I'm not sure he'll be back at any point in this remaining week. So Clarkson and Bojan Bogdanovic are going to see their usage and their roles increased. And Clarkson in particular just takes as many shots as he wants off the bench. And he goes from a 25-minute-a-night player to like a 33, 34-minute-a-night player. And that obviously increases his value. The next game is the Rockets and the Lakers. Houston, again, it's just consistently up in the air as to what's happening. But at least we know that Kevin Porter is out. We know that Avery Bradley is out. We don't know about Christian Wood, Daniel House, or Daquan Jeffries. I don't think House is going to play, while Jeffries and Wood are both questionable. So Kyrie Thomas gets another opportunity at decent usage to have a decent game. And same with KJ Martin, who I do think will start here. Martin, regardless of the status of Wood, and can be a really, really solid option for us. For the Lakers, back-to-back for them. Don't know whether LeBron's going to be back. He could be. But I want to watch how they deploy Marc Gasol, Andre Drummond, Montrezl Harrell in that center position. And then Kyle Kuzma, who didn't start on Tuesday. They went with Wes Matthews. What's Kuzma's role if LeBron is back? And how does he look in that role? For stream options, we're looking at Hull, Neto. This is category leagues. Hull, Neto, Alex Caruso with no Dennis Schroeder, James Johnson in New Orleans. You can throw Najee Marshall in there as well, and Alexander Walker too. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in LA, and Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes, obviously more value if Steven Adams is out. At this point, he is questionable, but Adams may not play. Hayes would be someone to watch regardless, but value increases if Adams is out. For points leagues, we're looking at James Johnson, Hull Neto, Najee Marshall, Tristan Thompson with Robert Williams unlikely to play, and KJ Martin is still available in some points leagues, so he could be a guy for us there. Don't forget, guys, before we go, that BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all of that action at BetOnline. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop or mobile device and use our promo code LOCKEDON, and you can receive your 50% welcome bonus, as well as checking out all of the news and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs. BetOnline are your online sportsbook experts. Guys, that'll do it for today's show. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on Odyssey. While on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe, and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.